Hey, Paul.
Hey, I was reading a story and it said you came back from Pitt. You were trying to figure out what to do and you were in bed and you woke in the night, felt the presence, thought it was one of your kids. No one was there, but it felt like it was your dad there. What was that experience like? What did that?
It was a little bit surreal. It was strange, to be honest with you, because I had never felt or dealt with anything like that. For me, it was the first decision, really big decision, that I've made without him. And, it was something that I was wrestling with, to a certain extent, was, is this the right thing? Is now the right time? And I felt like that right there was his answer. Because I know what he would have been telling me, if he would have been here. But I was kind of in my own head. And I felt like that was sort of the push maybe that I needed to do this.
What would he have been telling you?
He would have been telling me, you got to go. It's time. You ready?
You talked about when you were at VCU, it was the first time you really had to go out and recruit. And one of the guys you found, I believe, was Eric Maynard. If I'm not mistaken.
That was later. The first two guys were Troy Godwin and Nick George. Those were the first two guys. We needed help right away in the front court. And when I took over that job, they had that, it was a stupid rule, but it was a rule, the 8-5 rule. And so we could only sign 3 guys. And so we signed all front court players. And Nick George became the Rookie of the Year. Troy Godwin was the anchor to our championship year and year 2s and all-conference player. And we signed another guy, Kevin Moore, who was an important role player on the team. I think my first year there, we only had 8. I think we had only 8 scholarship players, maybe 9. And but those were the guys that we were able to, fortunate enough to get right away.
Jeff, how do you feel like you had so much success in your first recruiting class at Pitt compared to, I guess, rankings, whatever, but compared to the way the last 5 or 6 classes for that school has gone, regardless of who the head coach has been?
Well, I think we had a lot. I think we had a lot to offer as far as playing. There was a lot of playing time available, and then the opportunity, I think, to play in the ACC. I think those two things are what helped us the most, to be completely honest with you. And then, just like any recruiting success that you have, are the relationships that you're able to develop. And with those 3 freshmen and then the graduate transfer, we had relationships with people that were close to them, whether it was an AAU coach, a high school coach, or the parent. And so there were some connections. That helped us, be fortunate enough to get those guys. And they're all good, and they all will help us.
How do you feel like things are progressing towards the 2019 kids?
Yeah, we're getting better. It's about trying to get better each day, and the most important thing is learning how to fight. When you go through what they went through last year, it's easy to get down, and you have to make a decision. Are you going to fight your way out of this, or are you going to give into it? I don't know what it's like to be 0-19, but I do know what it's like to have to fight. And I've shared this. We don't talk about it much, but I shared a story with them. My freshman year, we were within a minute of winning the national championship. The next year, we were 2-14. It's not 0-18 or 0-19, but when you're at Duke and you're 2-14, it's miserable. And I share in some of the things that they've maybe went through, hearing stuff from the crowd's not coming as much and things like that. We went through that, and then the next year we started out 0-4. And so during a 20-game, we were 18-game stretch. Or 20-game stretch. I'm sorry. We were 2-18. And you have to fight your way through that. You're either going to give into it, or you have to say enough is enough, and you work on and understand even more in those circumstances how important the little things are. And that's what we have to do. And it has to be every day. We have to create habits, build habits and create habits that are conducive to earning the right to win. It's not just going to happen just because things are new. We have to make it happen, and that's what we're learning how to do.
You knew there were going to be some challenges taking this job. What's been the easiest thing for you so
I don't know if there's been an easy thing, to be honest with you, but I think it's that way at any new job that you take. It's so like these jobs are different. I mean, I don't know about, like, coaching is just so different because you go up and it happens so fast. We lost to Kansas Sunday in a heartbreaking loss. I met with them on Monday, told them I'm taking the job on Tuesday. I'm in Pittsburgh Wednesday, and then you start work. It's not like you go back and you do, like, you start right away, and you have to get started right away. And so I don't know. You're moving your family. There's a transition there when you have kids. I have young kids. 11 is the oldest, and so them getting acclimated. It's new to them, being away from their extended family. Grandparents, cousins, meeting new friends. I mean, just all these things. It's just completely new life, and you're doing it just with your core unit, your core family unit. So I don't know if there's been an easy part about it. It's been exciting, but I don't know if there's been an easy part about it.
Nothing that went smoother than you expected?
No.
Not on that track at all?
No.
Hey,
Coach, what's it been like to have your brother with you through this transition, and also, of course, bringing that Carolina deep rivalry to Pitt and showing them, that to be a part of the ACC?
Yeah, well, it's been great having my brother. When I took this job, one of the things that was very important to me in putting together a staff, I think I understand even more now, this time as a head coach, the importance of staff, coaching staff. And I wanted guys that I think, A, are really good at what they do, guys that communicate well, guys that are very good teachers, and guys that I felt like I could trust. And if you look at all three of my assistants, I've known them since 95, 96. My brother, obviously, forever. With him, it's someone that I trust with everything. He's good at what he does. He knows this league as a player and also as a broadcaster in this league. And I think he brings great value to the student athletes that we have, the ones that we will have in the future, and certainly to our program.
You said you had to change the culture at VCU. What did you have to change? And was there more to change in the culture at Pitt than just getting the guys to fight?
I think, when I look back, I think VCU, that was the thing. I was left some talent, but the culture wasn't great. I mean, the graduation rate was 0. When I was there as an assistant, our guys couldn't go to the bookstore. I had to go get all their books for them. They were banned from the bookstore. It was a lot of stuff going on there, and it wasn't a program that I think many people in the city of Richmond had respect for, or certainly had a lot of pride in at that time. When I went to Oklahoma, the culture was established. I mean, Kelvin Sampson, his teams always, you look at Houston now, they're tough, they're together, and they defend. We had to improve the talent there. And we were fortunate enough to get a guy like Blake Griffin and add some more pieces. Here it's kind of both. You have to improve both. You have to change the culture because they've lost a lot in the last 2 years. And sometimes when you lose, there are excuses of why you lose instead of taking ownership of, look, this is what we have to do. It's our fault. It's not someone else's fault. It's our fault. And then we have to improve the talent level. And so that's the difference, I think, at all three stops.
Jeff, do you think that this corruption case going on now, the G League, do you think that'll change the way coaches recruit? Do you think it'll change the landscape of recruiting for you guys?
I don't think right now.
Yeah.
I think when the NBA eventually goes, and I think it will happen, where they take guys straight out of high school or able to take guys out of high school, I think that will change it. I think you'll see some change. I think you'll see some kids that do decide to do the G League thing. But I still think you're going to have coaches that are trying to recruit the best possible talent and guys that fit what they want to do. You have some coaches that want the 4-year guy or want the older guy or guys that grow and things like that. You have some coaches that just want the best talent and the best kids. You know, these one and done guys, normally they're really good kids too, and so I don't think it's going to change it that much.
You've obviously recruited both ways. I mean, you've had the 4-year guys, and you know, especially at Duke coming in this year, you've got guys who maybe are projected as guys who might be ready for the league sooner rather than later. Do you prefer one over the other, or is it just the right blend of?
I think it's the right blend. I prefer really good talent and really good kids, you know, and guys that want to be a part of something, guys that want to learn, guys that don't think they know everything, guys that are over themselves and want to work and want to get better. That's what I prefer, and I think you can find it in both ways. You can find it in young people that maybe, you know, their talent allows them to only be in school for 1 year, or 4-year guys, and so it just depends.
You know, it seems like the recruiting now, you're either recruiting high school guys, you may have to recruit senior or graduate transfers, you may have to talk to your own players about whether they want to stay or go. It seems like the cycle is year-round, and with everybody.
I think that's changed the landscape. I don't think the G League and none of that stuff. I think the graduate transfers, these new transfer rules that are in right now, I think that has more of a chance to change the landscape than high school recruiting.
Jeff, who's the bigger influence on your coaching style? Your dad, observing him all those years, or Coach K?
You know, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I probably would say my coaching style, I'd probably say coach, because I spent more time around him as a coach in intimate coaching meetings and things like that. There's no one that's had more impact on my life than my dad. But as far as coaching and philosophy and different things like that, I was with my dad for that year doing that. When we were growing up and he was a coach, I didn't ask him a lot of coaching questions because I never thought I would coach. You know, I asked him about the game, just about the game and what do you see and things like that, but it was never about certain philosophies. Certainly when I became a head coach, he was still coaching, and I would talk to him about different things then, but probably as far as the coaching aspect, it's probably Coach K.
You never thought you were going to be a coach?
Never. I think the first time I started thinking that this is something I wanted to do, I remember it was December of '96. Of '97, I'm sorry, and it was my first year out of college. I was playing in Grand Rapids, Michigan, in the CBA, and my dad came out to watch me. And I remember he and I went to dinner, and he said, like, you know, how are you doing and whatever. And I was, we're talking about what's going on, and he said, well, look, if this doesn't work, like, what do you think you want to do? And I said, honestly, I think I want to coach. And he told me I was crazy. He told me you shouldn't do that. You should do something else. You should go to law school. You should do these things like that. And then my next year, I missed a year of playing. I got really sick. I had a bunch of stuff going on, so I got really sick. And as I started getting healthy, I was around his team. I would go to his practices, and that's kind of when the bug hit me. So that was the following year. So that's when I knew, okay, this is something I want to do. But when I was playing at Duke when I was growing up, it's not something I ever thought about doing.
Jeff, what was it like growing up in Fayetteville, and how much impact did Ron Miller have on your career?
Coach Miller had a huge impact on me. Again, I've been fortunate to be around great coaches and great men, and there was no one better than Coach Miller. He was tough. He held us accountable, but he also loved us, and he showed that. And he really helped me become a better player. He really taught me about leadership and the value of leadership and the responsibility that it takes to be a leader. And he was very influential for me.
Jeff, what was your
time in a winning program, and now this program struggled last year? Just how different was it for you to come in, and what was your message to these kids?
My message was, let's concentrate on right now, concentrate on the future. I wasn't here with you guys last year, so I can't speak to it. I don't know about it. I can't speak to it. But what I can speak to is what we're going to be right now, how we're going to be, and what it's going to take to become good. And our attitudes have to be great. Our mentality has to be great. Our approach has to be great. And we have to be incredibly together. And we have to fight. and we have to do it each day, and that has to become our habit. That's what leads to winning. If you look at every winning program, winning team, they all aren't the same, but the ingredients are the same. They fight together. There's a bond, there's a trust, there's a communication that's there at a very high level, and that leads to winning.
Jeff, what was your reaction to what was said at the trial about Zion, a player you obviously have a relationship with?
Yeah, I didn't have a reaction to it. I mean, I know Zion as a kid. He's a great kid, obviously incredibly talented young man, and a great kid. So I had no reaction to it because I don't know. It's not anything that's was in my wheelhouse or that I've concerned myself with now.
Coach, excuse me if you've already answered this question, but what were your thoughts on the new G League and the contract that they're offering to students or high school students coming out?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think anytime you have opportunities for these young kids to make decisions, like look, there's some kids that don't want to go to college, and that's fine. You know, that's their thing. It's not. I don't think it's our responsibility as adults or as coaches to make them do something. You know, you can say, well, you know, we know what's better for them, but you don't know what's better because you don't know their life, you don't know their experience, you don't know what they are going through currently or what their family is going through. So I think the more opportunity these young people get to make something better for their lives or to have an opportunity to go and pursue a professional career right away, I think it's great. I mean, they get an opportunity in baseball to do it, in tennis and golf and all these other things. You know, our sport is the one that they haven't for a little bit. I think it's great. I think it's great.